We have Mr. Cormier.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there he is. So you're claiming...
Hey, what's up, man?
You're claiming that I gave you the wrong time, but I just looked at my initial message to you, and it was at this time. So what do you got to say?
I think that we're running a rinky-dink organization over here at the MMA Hour.
So what?
Bad timing. It's been in the wrong times and everything. I don't know what's going on over there. We're going to have a talk with the higher-ups.
Yeah, that's what I think. So we only have 10 minutes? You got to go to train in 10 minutes?
No. We got time. We have time. I just need to be at the gym. I have to drive. I mean,
all right.
I go in at around 11:10, 11:15, but I just need to be driving while I'm on the way there.
Well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Last week, Jon Jones was asked about you, Daniel. I want to play this clip, and I want to get your response. Let's get into it. Here's Jon Jones talking about our man DC last week in Los Angeles.
DC is a guy who really wants to be famous. I don't think he wants to work hard. I think he just wants to be famous. You can see in his physique, you can see in his cardio that, you know, I mean, he's trying to get his Twitter followers up. That's about it.
Do you think saying that he's now knowing he could cut to 205 is a statement about he's focused to make that cut?
I hate answering questions about him. He's just not relevant to me. You know what I mean? There's so many great fighters in the light heavyweight division. He's not even top 5 in his division. I'm not sure if he is. He has like 20,000 Twitter followers. He has short reach, bad cardio. He looked terrible in his last fight. It's like, I'm not worried about him at all.
Did you guys have an altercation at the MMA Awards, I think it was?
He had an altercation with me. I didn't even know who him and his friend was at the time. So, I mean, obviously they're doing interviews about it. It's a bigger deal to them than it ever was to me, and ever will be to me.
So there you have it. First off, he says you have 20,000 Twitter followers. At last check, you have around 58,000. Talks about your cardio, all this other stuff. When you heard that from Jon Jones, what was your reaction?
Just kind of, it's almost shocking, you know, that someone in his position could be so petty. It was almost like, wow, like, I mean, we're adults, you know, like 3 points that I'm going to make here. Okay, first, Twitter follower. He made mention of that 2 times in his statement. What? I don't understand what that really plays into an actual fight. I mean, that doesn't really make much sense in a fight. 2, how would you like to be Jon Jones' friend? Because he says that Frank Mir is his friend, but he said, I look terrible in this fight, and I still beat his friend. So basically, what are you saying about your friend? You know, and third, I mean, it's just also like, again, it's like petty. You know, it's like, answer the question and get through with it. You know, he never completely answered the question. Do you want to fight me or do you not want to fight me? That's the question. You know, and on that whole MMA awards thing, you know, I've gone out of my way not to address that situation. I didn't say anything about it. It was the sponsor, you know, who was there. I didn't say anything about that. People have asked me about that for years, and I always go, nothing happened, you know, because I figured after we had talked, you know, everything had gotten squared away. Obviously, it didn't.
Do you want to address it now?
No, I mean, it's pointless. You know, I mean,
what
I
happened?
think it all goes back to, well, it kind of all goes back to that statement. You know, I don't know who the person is. You know, it's all it's just he's kind of a different person. He's a different type of guy. You know, I mean, he's a different type of guy. That's really all I'm going to say about it. You know, it's when you start when you start coming in contact with him, it actually becomes a little more difficult to deal with. I'm not a 26-year-old guy, 25-year-old guy, or however old he is. You know, and I'm not going to be, you know, I kind of was a little immature last weekend when I said he sounds like a kid. You know, I'm not going to get back to that. I'm not doing that. But the truth of the matter is, we're going to fight, you know, at some point. We both got fights to get through first. But we're going to fight at some point, and then all these things are going to have to be answered. Jon Jones, to sit there and say that he doesn't know if I'm in the top of my division and all that, that's a lie. It's a bold-faced lie. He obviously knows because he knows how many Twitter followers I have. He's paying attention. I mean, it's a complete contradiction. Like, what is this kid doing? I don't understand exactly. He goes, he's irrelevant to me, but you know exactly how many Twitter followers I have. You're like, it's like, come on, dude. It's like, God, it's at Iowa Central Community College education.
Wow. So do you think that deep down he actually wants to fight you and he's trying to build something up here?
I would hope so. I would hope so. I would hope that John's like, I hope that he's getting smart and saying, you know what? It seems like it's gonna happen. It seems like it's gonna happen. So I might as well start building it now. I mean, and hopefully we can make a ton of money when the fight happens. I hope that now he's like looking forward in his career and starting to build some of these fights that he has. But guess what? If him and I don't win our next fight, it really doesn't matter. I mean,
Sure.
Truth be told, we've got to win our next fight, you know. And me personally, I've got the most dangerous guy that I've ever fought in front of me on October 19th. So if John wants to go and look past Alexander Gustafsson, go ahead, John, have fun. I'm going to go ahead and focus on Roy Nelson. This will be the last time I talk about Jon Jones, his pettiness, his immaturity, and everything else. So ask me the questions now because this is it. As I move into my training camp, I'm only talking about Roy Nelson because he deserves respect. He's a tough fighter, and he's an adult. He's not a kid.
Do you feel like John has crossed the line talking about, physique, things like trying to put you down? Like, has he made this personal or is this all part of the game?
I think it's part of the game. I mean, I've never came out and said that I'm the most ripped guy in MMA. I'm not. I haven't cut weight in years. I haven't tried to cut weight in years. I haven't tried to diet in years. I clean up a little bit when I'm in training camp, but I haven't really made an effort to try and be the most ripped guy, But that stuff doesn't bother me. That type of stuff doesn't bother me. I just don't want. I just don't like saying stuff like I'm trying to just be famous. I don't want to work hard.
Yeah.
He hasn't spent a day in the gym with me. He doesn't know what I do in the gym. He doesn't know my schedule. Nobody does. I know that I'm training, and it takes it's a big statement to say that about someone that's accomplished the things that I've accomplished. You don't get out of Louisiana where there's no wrestling all the way up to becoming a two-time Olympian without being able to work hard. Louisiana isn't known for its wrestling. So obviously I'm working hard. And this whole thing started with John and I back in 2010. I had just started fighting. And, I was in the back at Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez's fight. And just out of nowhere, he walked up to me and he's kind of looking around me and he goes, "You look like a wrestler." Right? Just kind of said that to me out of nowhere. And he said, and then he proceeded to say, I said, "Yeah, I'm probably the best wrestler you've seen." So then he proceeds to say, well, maybe, he proceeds to say something like, "Get cauliflower on your other side and maybe you can get a takedown against me." I'm like, "God, you don't even know me."
Wow.
That's like the weirdest thing. Like, that's the type of thing that I'm like, well, what is he doing? I don't understand, And I'm like, well, if you were this good wrestler, when you were in high school, but I was on the Olympic team, you're supposed to know your Olympians. And this is where this whole thing started. And we discussed that, and I thought we were done with it. But obviously we're not.
And for the record, if that was Cain versus Brock, that was UFC 121, and he won the belt at 128, so he wasn't even the champion yet. He wasn't even king of the hill.
Dude, I had just started.
Right.
I would not have expected Jon Jones to know who I was, but I would not have expected him to actually say that to someone he didn't even really know. You don't just randomly pick a person and start talking to him, like just start talking shit to him. It doesn't really make much sense.
It seems like a lot of the bad blood does, or some of it, stem from this World MMA Awards altercation. If this is really going to be
It's not even that. My whole deal was just that MMA thing doesn't even matter. That's like in that instance, I thought John and I had a respectful conversation.
Uh-huh.
But it's the other thing. It was at that thing, and that whole thing started kind of a snowball effect. If you go back and look at Twitter, I said something about it, and then Ben Askren got on him, and then King Mo got on him, and then everybody kind of dumped on him for making that statement, and he kind of played it off as if he didn't know who I was at the time. Well, even if you didn't know who I was, you don't just go out and just disrespect someone.
But if this is going to be the last time you talk about him, why don't we just clear the air and get your side of the MMA Awards altercation?
I'm not talking about that. Like I said, it's irrelevant. Obviously it didn't mean much to him. it did mean a lot to me because in that instance, I gained some respect for him. I thought we had a respectful conversation and got some stuff figured out.
It was positive.
I thought we got some stuff figured out. By the end of our conversation, it wasn't some sort of big fight where we were screaming and yelling at each other. It was not that. It was two grown men talking. Obviously, I had the wrong interpretation of it.
Do you notice that sometimes he talks about you or sends a message to you via Twitter, but never mentions your name or like mentions your initials, but doesn't, at you? Do you ever notice that, a response to something that you say, but kind of vaguely, but we know it's about something that you've recently said? You notice that?
Well, it's like with Twitter and everything, you can't hide that stuff. Like you can put something up, a fan will screenshot it immediately and then give it to the other person. So
Right.
I'm always seeing that type of stuff. I don't get that either. I'm like, well, if you have something to tell me, just tell me. Like, just tell me because I would tell you.
Right.
You know, and I would tell you if I had something to say to you. And every time I have made a statement about that man, I always do either directly tweet him or I say it in these interviews and I name him by name. So it's like I don't necessarily understand why he doesn't do that. Listen, I've only praised Jon Jones, his fighting ability, and everything he's accomplished. The other stuff I think is a little it's a little childish.
When you read those comments, when you see the videos, all that, how much does that piss you off? Like I could see you in your house just, walking back and forth, getting.
I get the sense that he really dislikes me a lot more than I dislike him.
Oh, really? Interesting. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe there's something about me that Jon just does not like. Because even when they ask him questions, he gets this look of disgust on his face. Like, I cannot stand this guy. And I don't know. So, I will see,
Do you think
eventually our paths will cross, whether it be for the belt or if he loses the belt and I lose and we end up just fighting somewhere. We're going to fight eventually, It doesn't necessarily have to just be for the title. Obviously, we'd love it to be for the title, but if he gets beat or I get beat or, somebody's a champion and we're fighting the number one contenders fight, there's going to be a time when him and I fight and everything will get hashed out. And you know what? I'm a realist. I know that is a very tough fight for me. But that's another reason I would like to do it. I want to challenge myself against the best. I'm getting to do that in the UFC right now, and I'm going to continue to do that.
Based on those reactions, do you think Jon Jones fears you?
No. I don't think fear when I think of guys like Jon Jones and when Anderson Silva didn't want to fight Chris Weidman. I don't think of fear when you think of those guys. Those guys aren't afraid of anybody. They're the best fighters in the world. We talk about boxers and kickboxers, and those guys are great, but they can't beat those. They can't beat those guys in a full-on fight. MMA is the closest thing. That's a full-on fight. Where you can take people down, where you can grapple them. These guys are the best fighters in the world. There is no fear. Jon Jones is not afraid of me. I'm not gonna. No mistake. Make no mistake about it. That guy is not afraid of me. He's not afraid of anybody. I just know that there's he has a real dislike for me.
So you said recently that you want to cut the line if you beat Roy Nelson at UFC 166. How confident are you that the UFC will actually grant this request?
I mean, I was pretty confident until they told Glover that if he wins, he's getting the title shot, So maybe I'm not so confident anymore. I'm probably going to end up having the fight at 205. I think which was the thing that was misunderstood, Ariel, was that I said I was going to ask.
Right.
How many times have we been told no in our entire lives? We get told no all the time.
Right.
So if I ask and they say no, okay, no skin off my back, but what's the harm in asking? What if I was to ask and they go, okay, DC, you got the fight? Well, good. Now I can go start training for a championship fight. But if they say no, then they just say no. It's no harm in asking. When I was growing up, I asked for stuff all the time from my mom and got told no. Now I'm just asking the UFC for something. If they say yeah, great. If they say no, then okay, I just keep plugging away. I got to fight at 205. I'm not opposed to fighting at 205. I just would like to fight for the belt. Who doesn't want to fight for the belt if you're a competitor?
But if they say no, you are still going down to 205 regardless after this fight, right?
Yes, that's it. I'm gonna fight at 205 regardless in my next fight after I fight Roy.
Now,
win or lose.
you know, I mean, they've promised guys title shots before. I mean, A, Ryan Bader could win. B, he may not look impressive. It's still not, out of the realm of possibility that you do get the next title shot. You shouldn't lose all hope if you ask me.
Yeah, I know. But again, I've got to get my focus. My focus shifts right now to Roy Nelson. I mean, that dude, he's dangerous. You know, I know, Ariel, that, you know, even though it may seem as though, you know, I'm looking at Jon and the belt, when in reality, I'm really looking at that belt. Not even really Jon. I just want to fight for the belt. But Roy Nelson is the most dangerous guy I've ever fought in my entire career. He can knock me out with one punch. And I'm fully aware of that.
More dangerous than Barnett, Bigfoot, all those guys?
Because they don't have that one-punch knockout power. Those guys weren't going to just knock me out. You know, Barnett could have caught me with a submission. Mir could have caught me with a submission. But I knew going into that fight that I would be able to stay out of those positions. Like with Mir, I knew that I could just keep him standing. You know, with other guys, I kind of knew. With Barnett, I knew that I can. You know, I know how to grapple. You know, I've been grappling my whole life when it comes to wrestling, so I knew I'd be able to probably stay out of submissions, like an ankle lock or something. And he almost got me with it anyways. But with Roy, man, it takes one punch, and it's not even just his overhand right. You know, he's got a nasty uppercut, nice left hook. He's strong. He's a good grappler. He can take me down and get on top of me and crucifix me and elbow me like he did everybody on The Ultimate Fighter. There's so many ways for me to lose this Roy Nelson fight that my focus needs to be completely on him.
So this whole thing started when you told me that you wanted to. Well, actually, they offered you a title shot, or not a title shot, a fight against Roy Nelson, but it was on too short notice. You weren't medically cleared. UFC 161. Then Roy called you out for it. That pissed you off. You said you want to kick his ass, and you want to kick his ass for Dana White. Then at UFC 161, he said, "My friends would call that an Uncle Tom move." Was that offensive to you? A lot of people got all heated. A lot of people got all up in arms. Were you bothered by that comment? That's obviously a controversial thing to say about someone.
I would have been offended for any of my friends. You know, like whether it have been something racist or racial towards one of my my Asian friends or my Spanish friends. I would have been offended in that sense for everyone. But in a general sense, I mean, it's a little disappointing, but it wasn't that big a deal. You know, I think it just kind of fuels the fire. You know, Roy and I seem to be like a soap opera, daytime soap opera, you know, so it's fun, though. You know, with Nelson, I actually respect Nelson, you know, like, because he's real quick-witted. You know, he always comes back with nice little snappy comebacks, and it's good. You know, I don't mind that. I think Roy's I think he's a smart guy, you know, so outside of that deal, nothing that he said is it doesn't really piss me off. I mean, obviously I didn't like him saying that I turned down a fight because I'll never turn down a fight. I'll fight, but I just couldn't. My hand was still a little jacked up from the Mir fight, you know. So the timing wasn't right. But now it's happening anyway, so it works out perfect. And I also get the real Roy Nelson. You know, I don't get the Roy Nelson that fought last time that took the fight on short notice. Because generally Roy's in pretty good shape. Roy doesn't normally just gas in the cage. You know, he's a dangerous fighter for 15 minutes. Because you don't finish him. He doesn't get finished, so you know you're going to be fighting for 15 minutes most times, and he's always coming forward. So I respect my opponent a ton. You know, my focus has shifted now, and I'm ready to start training in Roy. You know, I got 2 weeks now where I'm in my 2-week pre-camp, and then I start my 8-week fight camp in a couple weeks.
What's the difference between pre-camp and fight camp?
Just getting my body used to going to practice twice a day. Maybe not as the intensity isn't as high, but I'm in the gym more. I'm doing more jiu-jitsu. Like Monday I did, I sparred and everything in the morning. Then I went at night and did a little airdyne workout, whereas I may not have pushed myself as hard, but I was in there doing it. Then right after that, I threw my gi on, and Ken and I did jiu-jitsu for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just rolling around drilling. And then last night, just going in and hitting the heavy bag and getting a nice little short run in after wrestling in the morning. So then tonight, you know, I'm going to do a little bit of strength and conditioning with my strength coach. And then, you know, tomorrow night I'm going to take the night off. You know, just kind of starting to prepare my body in the next couple of weeks, harden it to the point that I'm ready once I start my camp. Because most guys actually try and go real hard from like 0 to 100, and that's when people get hurt. You know, so I got to make sure that I'm healthy and feeling good when I start my fight camp, because it's so important. You know, we're professional athletes, and we need to treat ourselves as such.
Just a couple more things, and then we'll let you go. What are you going to do about King Mo? He's a good friend of yours. He trains with Roy Nelson. What role will he play in this fight?
I don't know. You know, I haven't spoken to Mo about that. I think it would be unfair of me to ask him to change his training situation. You know, so I don't know if I don't know if that would be fair. So I haven't even really spoken to him about it. As we get closer, maybe we'll have a talk. But you know, I don't know if it's fair for me to ask him to change his training situation because Roy is there for him.
Yeah.
And that would be a little unfair, I guess.
He knows you very well. You'd be okay with him training Roy to fight you?
You know, I haven't really thought about it. You know, it's something I've actually purposely blocked out. Because, you know, Mo and I, we've been knowing each other since 1999, you know, like in college. And our relationship kind of is a little bit bigger than this whole MMA thing, you know. We've been through a lot together. When I heard that my daughter got killed in 2003, Mo was at my house for a barbecue. So it's like our relationship's a little bip different. I think him, and he's a loyal person to a fault. So maybe he wouldn't want to do it. I'm not sure. You know, maybe I'll hear something later. But if I know Mo, I'm pretty sure he'll probably just distance himself from the whole situation.
And how does this affect Kane in the sense that you are fighting in the co-main event? Will you have enough time? I mean, of course, win or lose, that's not the big issue. But if you get banged up, at this point, are you just kind of figuring you won't be in his corner for that fight?
Who's that?
Cain Velasquez. Yeah, because he's fighting.
Cain, you know, the crazy thing is, you know, we were discussing this the other day. I was like, hey, you know, I'm not sure this is going to work out. You know, I've got a tough fight on my hands, and maybe we could find someone else to try and get in your corner. And he's like, you know, I think plan A needs to, let's try and see what we can do. You know, he has a lot of confidence in what I see in the fight from a wrestling perspective, and he would hope that I could get out there with him.
So that's your plan as well?
I mean, I would like to try. I'm not sure it's even possible because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be banged up. I've got a tough fight on my hands, man.
And how about Junior Dos Santos saying you're next because he's going to beat Cain?
Yeah, he's not.
So if let's just say Cain loses, would you stick around at heavyweight and fight him? Because you would be the number one contender at heavyweight.
I'm going to go down to 205 regardless. You know, not only do I want to go down and fight, you know, I think I want to live, you know, just kind of live healthier. I think now, you know, I've got kids and I'm just thinking about the future and everything, man. You know, Ariel, like I was a bigger guy, you know, I was heavier, and then now I got a new sponsor, you know, that's helping me with my diet and my nutrition. It's called Automatic Body, you know, and they send all my supplements. They've got me a cook. They've got me a chef. They've got me Kim Lyons from The Biggest Loser is like my nutritionist, and everything. This whole company has taken an interest in me, and they've kind of opened my eyes to more of a healthier lifestyle. So 11 weeks from the fight now, I'm only weighing 230 pounds. You know, before I'd be 230 maybe 2 weeks before the fight because I'm in such an intense camp. Well, now I'm only 231 pounds, and I'm not even in training camp. So with everything that happens, I think that they've opened my eyes to a healthier living, a healthier lifestyle, like Mark Munoz. You know, Mark Munoz is the same thing. You know, he wasn't healthy when he was in his depression and everything. And one more key thing, Ariel, that I want to actually touch on before we did this. How long have people been telling me to go down to 205? Right? That's a long time people have been saying you should go down. Well, now I am doing it. But all these people, let's put a little bit of put a little bit of it on them too. You know, why don't these fans and everybody else who have asked me to do it, why don't they do it with me? And we tweet photos, and the company, they've actually started a program. It's called Get Fit with Daniel Cormier, and it's like getfitwithdanielcormier.com or getfitwithdc.com. And you can win prizes. They'll fly you to fights. We'll do one-on-one greetings. All this stuff you can win by actually just doing the program with me, because my big thing was I've gotten this a lot from media, from fans, from people within MMA. DC go down to 205. Well, now I actually want them to do it with me, so that not only do I live a healthier lifestyle for my life and my kids, let's see everybody else do it around me too. The people that support me, let's see you guys all take this challenge with me, and we'll all do it together, and there'll be some pretty cool things for them on the backside of it.
I'm actually looking at the website right now. It's either getfitwithdc.com or getfitwithdanielcormier.com. This is a great idea. Nice picture of you there. Olympic wrestler, number 2 ranked UFC heavyweight, shocks the world by announcing his plans to drop 40 pounds and fight at light heavyweight. This is a brilliant idea. I love this. How can you bury this? You buried the lead, my friend.
I'm sorry, dude. It kind of hit me at the end. You know, I just kind of, no, because I really want people, I want people to do it with me. You know, I'd like to see weekly photos of people actually losing weight, looking better, feeling better physically, because, you know, just as a country, people as a whole, you know, we could probably live a healthier lifestyle, and they've really opened my eyes to it, man. Just waking up now and being lighter and being able to do more physically and having more energy, it's actually helped me already. Now, is it going to be easy to cut to 205? No, it's going to be very hard. I'm still pretty scared about it, honestly. But I think with this program and automatic body and automatic MMA, I think they're going to make this process a little bit easier for me. And I just don't want Kim Lyons to treat me like she treated the people on The Biggest Loser in the first couple seasons.
Okay, 2 last quick things. When you fight Roy Nelson on October 19th, how much do you expect to weigh Friday before the fight?
I'm just going to weigh in what I weigh, man. If I weigh 220, I weigh 220. If I weigh 225, I weigh 225. If I weigh 230, I weigh 230. I'm just going to weigh what I weigh, because now I'm just going to get up in the morning, like I said, be healthy and work hard and see what I weigh. But I am definitely, I have my eye on the division that I want to be in. But I know that I've got a tough SOB in front of me that I need to be prepared for.
You said this is the last time you're talking about Jon Jones. Is there anything else you want to say about the light heavyweight champion?
Nah, man, I just want to focus on your fight. I'll focus on mine. Let's leave each other's name out of our mouth, and whenever the UFC decides to announce our fight, then we can trash talk each other all we want.
All right. I'd like to see it. I want to see you cut the line. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Of course, both of you have to win your fights. Even if you don't, heck, I think it's a great fight. I mean, you know, let's say things don't go well with Roy Nelson, you wouldn't be the first guy to get a title shot by changing weight classes. And if things don't go well with Jon Jones, then it really would be an easy fight to make. Nevertheless, he has a big fight. You have a big fight. Always great to talk to you, Daniel. Thank you for being so honest. Even though you wouldn't tell us the real story, what happened at the awards, you gave us enough. And it was great to have you.
It wasn't the award show. It was UFC 121. That was the issue. The award show,
okay.
That was a time that we had a good conversation between 2 adult men.
Well, I didn't know about the 121 thing, so actually, you're right. Better than anything I was expecting.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, DC. Good luck with the program here. This is a great website. We'll get it out there to the people, and good luck in training. Always good to talk to you, my friend.
Thank you, Ariel. Plug that website, man. Let's get fit.